Welcome to Flow with Ali, where I bring you yoga and yoga-inspired workouts to make you feel good as a busy working professional or parent. I'm coming at you from my playroom today, and I'm very excited about this class. I want to focus on those areas that we sometimes neglect if we're at a desk, we're hunched, we're on our phones, we're holding a child, we're lifting heavy things. I want to focus on counteracting that, opening up through the chest while also hitting the core, the glutes, the legs, all the good stuff. So let's get started and get a really good workout in a shortened amount of time. Let's get started. Comfortable seat. So I like to do this hips over ankles, sitting like this. If you're more comfortable cross-legged, that is completely fine too, but I like to multitask a little bit. So my toes are getting a nice stretch back, and we're going to start just with wrists and neck. So just rest your hands down comfortably and make a couple half circles with your neck forward and back, just gently. Don't strain the neck, just try to get those muscles that we sometimes keep tight and neglect throughout our working out. Just a nice way to settle in as you do this movement, which you don't have to think too much about. Just focus on checking in, taking this opportunity to pause throughout your day. If you're here, it means you want a little bit of a deeper connection with your body and hopefully your mind. As we do a half circle to the back, just thinking about how we're feeling today. What are your thoughts like? What's your mood like? Hold your neck off to one side. You might want to guide it with your hand. Starting to really slow down the breath, slow down the thoughts. Settling into this self-care. You're a busy person who isn't these days. We so rarely take the time to just pause. I'm going to release my feet, sit back on my ankles, and just take a moment to roll out the wrists. Mine crackle every single time, but it feels good to just relieve the tension in the wrists here. Switch directions, just taking a couple circles. Good. Now we're going to stretch out the hands. So take one hand forward like you're saying stop, and then just gently pull back on those fingers. You can feel a nice stretch here all throughout the back of the hand, maybe even into the forearm. Just kind of moving with it, seeing where you feel it. So I'm feeling my fingers, and then as I move a little bit, I get into the forearm. And then you could also do this with your arms out straight like that, breathing into it. And then once again, other side. Do this with your arm bent, just playing with the different angle in your elbow, how that changes the sensation. Just breathing into it, giving our hands some love. Once again, circling out. And then we can press down with our wrists like this and pull through the knuckles. You feel this all through the forearms. Good. And then switch other side. Lower down your wrist like this and simply pull back. Another breath or two. And release. If you're on your ankles, just allow the ankles to fall under you off to one side. If your feet are off to the left, you're going to lift up your right arm. So you're going to bend over towards your feet, allowing the left arm to stabilize you on the mat. Breathing into a nice side stretch here. Feeling the opening on the side of your body here. And then take a little counter stretch, rest that right hand on the mat, and lift the left arm up and over this time. Breathing into this. And then we'll just take our feet under us and pop them off to the other side. This time we're going to be bending over to our right, over towards the feet. Making a nice little half moon shape, crescent moon shape with our bodies. And then switch. Left hand rests on the mat, right arm comes up and over. Gentle side stretch. All right, let's get into the abs and the legs and start moving. Meet me in a tabletop position to start, tucking your toes and then just bringing your hips back and forward. So kind of going from a child's pose with the toes tucked to a tabletop and just starting to feel movement throughout our spine. If you like, you can add a cat-cow, so drop the belly cow as we're in table and then round as you go back. So scoop the belly as you come to table and round the spine as you go back to the child's pose. Scoop the belly through table, rounding back through child's pose. Getting the spine warmed up and getting the body ready to move. All right, back up to tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, neutral spine. With those toes tucked, just pop those knees up. Your knees are just an inch off the mat, but you should be feeling this. Your core is firing up, your legs are fired up. Really powerful and simple movement here that you can do anywhere. Breathing into this for a couple more seconds. You can always drop down to your knees and drop to child's pose at any time if you need to. If you're with me, keep breathing for another breath or two. Check back in with those thoughts. Are you wanting to just turn off this video and stop? Don't, please. All right, and rest those knees. Sink back to child's pose. We're coming back to that. Breathing for a moment. Deep breath in. Full breath out. Good, and come back up to child's pose. Tuck the toes, pop the knees up. This time, we're gonna hold for another breath. Step that right foot back, and then step the left foot back. So your shoulders are still over your wrists and your spine is long. Plank pose. And then I want you to simply step that right foot forward. Keep those heels off the mat and step the left foot forward. We're back in our tabletop, floating. Drop the knees, press back child's pose. We're going to make this into a little warm-up flow. So coming up to tabletop, tuck the toes, hop the knees up, step back the right foot, stack back the left foot comes in, right foot comes in, lower the knees, press back. This time we'll add on our plank. So pop yourself up, tabletop, float the knees. This time left leg step back, right leg steps back. Lift the left toes, lift the right toes, lift the left hand, lift the right hand. Left toe step in, right toe step in, knees are floated. Press back child's pose. Couple more times. Tuck the toes, lift the knees. Right leg back, left leg back, lift the right toes and drop, lift the left toes and drop, lift the right arm and drop, lift the left arm and drop. Step the right in, step the left in, and drop the knees, press back child's pose. Showing yourself some kindness rather than harshness. As we flow through this, tuck your toes, lift your knees, breathe here for a moment, tabletop. Left goes back, right goes back, left goes in, right goes in. Left goes back, right goes back, left comes in, right comes in. You did a double there. Lower down and press back. We're gonna do the double once again. And press back up, tabletop, tuck the toes, float the knees. Right goes back, left goes back, right comes in, left comes in, stay low, right goes back, left goes back, hold plank. This time we're gonna open up side to side in plank. We're gonna roll onto the outside of the right feet, open up side plank, and back to center. Roll into the left foot, open up side plank, back to center. One more time, option to bring the knee down and open up to supported side plank. And down, back to center. If you're doing full side plank, keep rolling on those feet, supported. Come up and back. And everybody meet in plank pose. Left foot steps in, right foot steps in, knees are floated. And then drop the knees, press back child's pose for a moment, breathing here. Deep inhale, deep exhale. One more movement in tabletop pose. We're gonna do some hydrants. So lining up tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And on an inhale, float the left leg up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down. This time, listen for the change. Lift that leg up to hip height and then kick the foot out for 5. 1 and in, 2 and in, 3 and in, 4 and in, and 5. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wrap that leg around, stretching out long behind you, and lift it up tall. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let that go. Maybe you wag the hips back and forth for a moment. We're moving on to the right side. Lift that right leg up and down, 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 up and hold. And then we're just going to kick that foot out. 1 and in, 2 and in, 3 and in. Glutes are on fire. 4 and in. It burns. 5 and in. This time we're going to hold out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg back. Stretch it up long and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press back child's pose. Take a breath or two, noticing how good it feels to work the body here. Stretching, opening, strengthening, all at the same time. We're going to work the back a little bit. So we're going to go down on our bellies and we're going to open up the back, strengthen the back, and really get into those shoulders. Come to plank and slowly and with control, drop down all the way to your belly. We're really activating the abs as we transition here. Drop the tops of the feet onto the mat, cobra pose. So rest your chin on the mat. On an inhale, lift the chest up. Maybe it's baby cobra. Elbows hug into the sides of the body. Legs are straight and strong. Gaze up, look up. Maybe you can press those hands into the mat and lift the chest even more. Wherever your back tells you it feels good, breathing, staying open through the chest and lowering all the way down. Forehead rests on the mat, release your hips, unclench everything as we reset here. We're going to go into locust pose. We're going to have our hands in front of us and we're just going to lift everything off the mat. Sounds easy, but it's challenging. So drop the forehead. Inhale, exhale. On an inhale, lift the arms. You can stay right here and just lift the arms up and the chest, or maybe you can lift your legs up too. Inhale, get longer. Lift taller. Gaze up. Lift your arms, lift your legs, lift your gaze. Glutes are strong, fingertips stretching long. Fingertips and toes getting farther apart from each other. And maybe you can swim back with your arms and lift the chest even more. Maybe you can clasp hands, really opening those shoulders, gazing up. Me too, you can drop your legs and let that go. Drop one ear onto the mat. Shake those hips out. Maybe you windshield wiper your legs. One more move down here before we take it up to standing and get into the legs. So I want you to take your arms out to the side to a T. So your body is one long line here. You're going to roll over to your right side with that right arm out long. You can bring that left hand in to help you if you want some support to open your body up to the left, and you'll really feel it in that right shoulder. This left arm is going to help you adjust how far back your body rolls and how much of a stretch we get into that right shoulder. If you feel really steady here and you're loose, you can bend that left leg, take that left hand, reach back and grab the inside of the foot. So we have sort of a dancer's pose, bow pose on the side. Really powerful stretches through our shoulders and our hamstrings. You can kick into the hand a little bit if you want that additional stretch. All of this is optional and a suggestion. I invite you to please do what feels best in your body today. Let that foot go if you've got it. Place that hand back onto the mat. Whew. We're going to take that right hand and press it under the right shoulder as we roll over that left shoulder. Really using that right hand as a lever to control the intensity of the stretch and how far we allow our body to open up. If you feel loose enough, lift that right arm up and reach back while you bend the right leg. Grab the inside of the foot, firing up those hamstrings. Maybe you can kick back into that foot. A lot of intense stretching happening here. Release that foot if you're ready, and then take that hand back onto the mat. Press back into child's pose and breathe. As we have our body warmed now, just checking back in with yourself. Really nourishing our mind and body in this yoga practice. Then when you're ready, we'll pop up into our first downward facing dog of class. Tuck the toes, press through the hands, energetically drive the heels toward the mat. Lift up through the hips. Your heels do not have to touch the mat. Your knees do not have to be straight, but that's of course our goal. So press through all 10 fingers, grounded and locked into the mat. Breathing. Maybe we pedal our knees out, one and then the other. Feeling that stretch all across the backs of our legs. Breathing here. Long through the arms. Adjusting and finding a comfortable position in this pose before slowly walking our feet up in between the hands, taking our first forward fold of class, just noticing the sensation as we allow our torsos to hang heavy. Maybe we sway side to side. Also option here to open up through the shoulders even more by putting your hands to the small of your back, clasping, and then stretching those arms up, and then maybe allowing gravity to bring them over the back of your head toward the mat behind you. Breathing here. Inhale and exhale. Release the hands if you have the clasp. And this time we'll just do a couple stretches with our knees, bending that right knee, and then left arm heels open. Opening the chest here, really enjoying that stretch across the chest and through the legs. Exhale, let that go. Bend into the left knee. Right arm comes up, opens up. Those right fingertips are reaching up to the ceiling or even out and back behind you. Getting a nice chest opening and release, let that go. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the arms up, arms framing the face. And exhale, hands come to prayer. Heart center, breathing here for a moment. Giving your body some kindness, some breath. Noticing how much more energized you feel, maybe how much looser you feel. Bring the shoulders up and back. And then lift the arms up, extended mountain. As we exhale, cactus the arms into 90-degree angles to Press those elbows back, giving yourself a nice chest opener. Inhale, lift them tall. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, lift the chest. Exhale, fold forward. This time, as we rise up, come into chair pose. So bring your toes together to touch, heels slightly apart. Sweep the arms up as you sink your hips low. Chest lifts, hips sink. Inhale, chest lifts, find length. Exhale, hips sink. Breathing here. Inhale and exhale. Option here to create a twist. So hands come to prayer center. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, hook the right arm outside the left knee. Inhale, create length through the crown of the head. Exhale, twist deeper and open your chest to the left side. Breathing here. Things are firing up. Breathing through it. Make sure those knees are in one line, kissed together. One more deep breath in and exhale. Let it go, forward fold, knowing that we have to do the other side. So shake it out for a moment. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, sink the hips, lift up. Chair pose. Exhale, prayer twist. Left elbow hooks outside the right knee. Inhale to grow longer. Exhale, twist deeper. Inhale, get long. Exhale, twist deep, sit low. Knees in one line. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink low. And then sit the booty down onto the mat. Lift the knees. Navasana, boat pose, palms face up. If you need a modification, you can always keep the feet on the mat and hold here on the backs of the legs, but challenge yourself. Lift the knees. Lift the arms. Lift the chest. Opening through the chest, firing up the core, challenging yourself to lift and straighten your legs. Exhale, lower down, low boat. Inhale, lift up, boat. Exhale, low boat. Inhale, boat. Exhale, low boat. Inhale, boat. This time we'll roll like a ball. Everyone meet me back up in a forward fold. You're rolling, roll back, and come up, folding forward. Inhale and exhale. Getting into our legs. Step back with the left leg. Right knee over right ankle. We'll go into a low crescent lunge or runner's lunge. Pressing forward into the hips. Feeling that nice hip stretch. Lifting the chest. And then press back, half splits. Hips sink back. Front leg comes to straight. Breathe here. And forward crescent. And then press back, half splits. We'll take a little bit of a funky transition through side plank. So watch me first if you need. We're going to side plank on the left side. So from half splits, one more time into a runner's lunge, press forward. And this time when we press back to half splits, take that left hand, press into the mat, take the right leg, bring it out to the side, and then right arm comes up. And then here we are in supported side plank. You can lift that right leg up. Option to stay right here, or maybe you go up and down with the leg. So lift the leg, lift the arm, and then get long in opposite directions. Lift the leg, lift the arm, get long in opposite directions a couple times. Just a fun variation to keep things fresh. And one more time if you're lifting the leg, coming back through supported side plank, and then just through tabletop, press back, downward facing dog, tuck the toes under, press back, and then take the left leg forward, pressing into the hips, chest lifts, low crescent lunge, breathing here. You know where we're going now. Just doing the same thing on the other side. Press back, half splits, pressing through the hands, sinking back in the hips, and then come forward. A couple times like this, pressing back into half splits, and then coming forward. Press back once more, half splits. And then coming forward. One more time, press back, half splits. Inhale, come forward. And then this time as we press back into half splits, going to plant that right hand down, bring that left leg around, supported side plank. Option to keep that top foot on the mat for extra support. You'll still get that oblique and side ab work. Option to come into supported side plank with your leg lifted, or you can bring your arm over your ear and lift and lower the leg a couple times, finding a nice movement, firing the core and the glutes a little bit here. And release. This time press back, child's pose. Before we head into our big back bend of class, we'll be going into camel pose before winding things down. So taking a couple deep breaths here, knowing mentally that you really just have one more push of class, and then you get to just wind down and stretch. Sometimes knowing the end is near helps us get through. So come to standing on your knees. I like to tuck my toes under, but you can just relax the feet on the mat here in camel pose. I'll take you into it slowly. This pose has a progression, so know that at any point you can stop and stay right there if you don't want to go any further. Lift up tall, place your hands on your hips, lift the shoulders up and back so the shoulder blades are down your back. So lifting up, chest puffs up, look up towards your ceiling, pressing the hips forward. Option to stay right here if this back bend feels good enough for you. Lifting up before you go back so your gaze goes even further up and back on the ceiling. Maybe you can take one hand and grab a heel, and maybe you take another hand and grab the other heel. So option to just stay up here, grab one heel and then the other, or take both hands on the heels. You've got both heels. It's hard to talk in this pose. Lift and puff your chest out really far, and then allow your head to hang heavy. Big heart opener, big back bend here. Breathing into this really, really intense stretch and opening. Shifting the hips forward, taking the weight out of the hands, coming out of it the same way we came in. One hand to the hip, other hand to the hip. We'll have an opportunity to do this one more time. Drop the feet, press back, find child's pose, forehead to the mat, melt your torso over your legs, knowing that we just have one more set of camel. Really absorbing the intensity of that pose as we rest in between and prepare to do it again. All right, walk yourself up, standing on your knees. You know where we're going this time, so you can challenge yourself to move deeper into the pose or take it a little easier this time. Hands come to the low back, palms face down. I like to remind myself to get those shoulder blades back, so lifting up and back and bringing those elbows toward one another. So we're really opening through the chest. So up and back and open. Look up, shift your hips forward. That's really going to help you get the back bend. We're nice and low to the ground, so falling is not that bad. Look up to go back. Maybe we play around with grabbing one ankle, seeing how that feels. And maybe you can grab a second ankle or heel. Shifting those hips forward. We don't want to be back here. We want our hips to be forward. You can really feel a stretch through the front of the body. Breathing here. Don't forget to breathe. One more deep breath in and exhale. Forward and let that go. Child's pose, and we stretch now. You can stay right here in child's pose, or you can walk those hands off to the right side of the mat. And then walk those hands off to the left side. Let's just thread the needle now. So coming up to tabletop, inhale, the left arm lifts, and exhale, thread the left arm behind the right, resting the left shoulder on the mat and the left ear on the mat. Hips are lifted, stretching and opening, using that right hand maybe to open your chest a little more, pressing into the mat, finding the spot that feels good for you right here. Breathing as we slow things down. Unravel. Place the left hand down. Inhale the right arm up. Open up here. This part feels so good, just setting up. Exhale. Right wrist comes behind the left, and then right shoulder meets the mat. You can press through that left hand to find more opening here. And release back to table. Final downward facing dog of class here, breathing. Deep inhale, deep exhale. We're gonna find a seated straddle. So come to seated. When you're in your seated position, just take one leg out to the side and the other. It doesn't matter how wide your legs are. They can be in a very narrow straddle. Find the spot where you feel comfortable and maybe at your edge just a little bit. Inhale, lift the chest tall, and we're just gonna bend over to one side. Arm comes over the head so your chest is still facing forward. Breathing here. And we're gonna open up the top arm and just take it across. So this time we're square over the leg. Different sensation in this stretch. Walk the hands out. Finding the side stretch that feels good in your body, that gives you a nice opening, nice stretch. Pressing up and switching sides. So first take the one hand out and then the opposite arm up and over your head. Good, and release that. And then square over that outstretched leg and then melt forward. Think about trying to get that forehead toward the knee. Breathing here. And release, let that go. This one hurts. We're gonna go up and forward through the legs. So walking the hands forward, trying to get that belly and chest on the mat. Maybe you're up on your forearms and maybe that's enough, or maybe you can melt all the way down. See if you can get that forehead on the mat. Breathing here. And release, laying back on our mat, closing out with a quick supine spinal twist. So lay down long on your mat, legs stretch long, take the left knee, bend it in, and then just bring that knee over to the right side across the body, resting on the mat, taking the left arm out and off to the left side, gaze over the left fingertips, breathing. Bring the right hand to the belly, to the leg, just letting go here. Maybe even close your eyes. Good, release that. Switch sides. Right knee comes in and over across your body, gazing off in the opposite direction. Left hand comes to your leg or to your belly, right arm comes out, and then you're looking off over the right fingers. Breathing here. One more nourishing deep breath. And unwind, hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a big, warm hug, sometimes showing ourselves kindness and love. is the best way to start, because then it will naturally spill over to others. Inhale the legs up, waterfall pose. Sometimes I like to just sit in waterfall pose while I'm laying with my kids or looking at my phone, whatever it might be. Breathing here. And then going into happy baby to close out our practice. Bend the knees, grab outside edges of the feet, and just allow your hips to feel one last opening. Maybe you sway side to side. Take whatever you need to close out your practice, whatever your body is calling to you. Maybe it's just Savasana. Bring the feet up and then lower them down slowly and with control. Allow them to meet the mat, allowing the toes to fall out to one side. Palms face up. If you prefer, you can have one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. You need some extra grounding and support in your body today. This can feel more nourishing. Taking a minute here to allow yourself to rest, to pause, to absorb all of the work we did, the opening, the twisting, the strengthening. But most importantly, to acknowledge the kindness that we showed to our bodies and to ourselves, with the goal of spreading that to others throughout the day. Slowly, when you're ready, roll over to one side and press yourself up to a seated position. Taking a restorative, nourishing breath here. Inhale, lift the arms as we breathe in. Exhale, bring the hands to heart center. I like to imagine us bringing in all of the good energy that we cultivated in our rooms, in our spaces, and virtually. Thank you so much for joining me.